joining us here today at the Marlborough Park Community Center. My name is Gurinder Singh Gill. I'm the Alberta NDP candidate in Calgary Cross. I want to acknowledge that we are gathered here today on the territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and we recognize the Métis people who share a deep connection with this land. I've heard from seniors in my community that they just don't trust Danielle Smith. She's risky and unpredictable. She said some troubling things about her plans for pensions and make you pay to see a doctor. Rachel Notley is a leader you can trust. She means what she says, and she says what she means. She'll work hard to protect your health care and your pension, and build a better future for you, your kids, and your grandkids. Before we hear from Rachel Notley, I want to give Sandy Klobuchar, a Calgary senior, a chance to speak.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Sandy Klobuchar. I'm a native Calgarian and have lived in Alberta for all of my entire life. For 35 years, I have worked in healthcare here in Calgary in the acute and public healthcare sector. A big part of my job was checking in on seniors at home and in taking care of them in the hospital. I know how important preventative and primary care is in keeping our seniors in their homes. Home care promotes health and saves money. I'm concerned also what's happening to healthcare, not only healthcare, but my pension plan under the United Conservative Party government. Healthcare is worse under the UCP, and now they want to take away our pensions. Shame on them. What will be left for us if they win this election? Rachel, I want to know your plan. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy, and thank you, Gurinder, and thanks to everybody for joining us here today. You know, Sandy, when it comes to your concerns, you're not alone. Everywhere I go, seniors tell me they're worried about Danielle Smith's plan to take away their pensions. It's top of mind for seniors in this election. And Danielle Smith, she doesn't actually even want to talk about it. She's telling seniors to actually wait until after the election. I think that's absolutely wrong. I think if you want to ask for people's votes, you need to answer their questions. And that's what I'm here to do today. Now, before I tell you what our government will do for seniors, let me start by telling you what we won't do. We won't gamble away your pension. You worked hard for it. You deserve it. And under an Alberta NDP government, you will keep it. Our plan is all about giving seniors a better future in Alberta. And that means protecting your pension and giving you the supports that you need to stay healthy at home as long as possible. Now, I will say we've said a lot to seniors already about our plans, but today I also want to announce that our platform will increase investment in home care to provide 20,000 more Alberta seniors with support over the next 4 years. This represents a $100 million increase over what was recently contained in the UCP budget. And moreover, when it comes from us, you can count on us to do it. This is there so that seniors, like all of you folks, can get the care you need to stay in your homes as long as possible. Things like snow shoveling, transportation, meals, minor medical oversight, and overall, building more seniors housing in both independent and communal settings to give seniors more choice as they age. We're also going to expand the Seniors Home and Adaptation Repair Program so that you can make the renovations of your home that help you stay comfortable as you grow and as you age. And this comes on top of our previous commitment to increase family and community support services. We're also going to give you more housing options for places to retire affordably. We'll build more seniors housing in independent settings and in communal ones so that you have choice. We're going to take major steps as well to make life more affordable for seniors. We'll make the shingles vaccine free for eligible seniors who choose to get it. Because, science. And also, we'll make medicines more affordable by adding spouses and dependents back to the seniors' drug benefit. We'll reverse the UCP's fee for driver's medical exams so you don't have to pay to keep driving. And we'll increase rental assistance and raise the seniors' benefit that the UCP cut to relieve pressure on low-income seniors. Now, I know that what we all want for ourselves, for our parents, for our loved ones, is to spend those glorious retirement years at home doing the activities that we love. But should the time come when more support is needed, the point of this is to tell you, Alberta's NDP will be there for you. Our plan will give Alberta's seniors the better future they deserve. So thank you all for being here today. Now, in a moment, I'll be happy to take questions from the media, but first I do also need to address a new video that has emerged of Danielle Smith. In the video, which was made public last night, Smith compares those who got vaccinated against COVID-19 to followers of Adolf Hitler. She also disrespects the wearing of the poppy, saying its significance was somehow ruined by decisions made by political and public health leaders during the pandemic. These comments are utterly horrifying. What we have here is a premier who is looking at over 75% of Albertans who stepped up, who followed the science, and respected the requests that were made by public health officials to protect themselves, their neighbors, and Alberta's most vulnerable citizens, and everybody who needed our hospitals. And she is comparing those Albertans, 75% of them, to the architects of an anti-Semitic genocide. This is why Albertans cannot trust Danielle Smith's leadership. Albertans, you deserve better. You deserve so much better. So, thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions that folks here in the media may have.
We're going to start with questions here. We're going to start with questions here in the room, and then we'll go to some over the phone and on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, please use the raise hand function. If you're on the phone, please push *9. And once again, we'll start in the room. Please introduce yourself and the media outlet you're with. And first question I'll hand over to Jason.
Yeah, Jason here in Calgary Herald. On this surface video, last fall, the UCP's board disqualified candidate Nadine Wellwood for similar comments about comparing vaccine passports to the Nazi Germany policies. Is that precedent setting, or should it be?
Well, I might say that it was if we weren't in an election campaign. Albertans are in a period right now where they get a choice. And my call to Albertans is that they should choose to tell Danielle Smith she does not deserve to be premier. And between now and then, I suppose it's fair to say the UCP has some work to do to decide whether she's should be leading them after making comments like that. But as far as Albertans go, we're in an election, and I think that she's disqualified herself as someone who should be selected to lead this province.
There, Aaron with Live Hour Calgary. Is your plan to keep with CPP an indictment of AIMCO in any way?
No, it's really not meant to be an indictment of AIMCO. CPIB, for sure, has been a very successful plan manager. I think the larger any plan is, the more stable it is. This really isn't an indictment of AIMCO, though. It's an indictment of the fact that I don't want anybody, the CPP belonging to anybody in this room, to be subject to the discretionary decisions of the Alberta Cabinet. and pulling us out of CPP would create that level of uncertainty for all folks, and the UCP has proven very clearly that they cannot be trusted with that level of power over people's retirement security.
The promises made today, is there a budget cost for those?
Yes, so the 20,000 home care spaces will be funded by an increase to what the UCP have recently budgeted of about $100 million over the course of 4 years.
Megan Cobb, Global News. There are some critics who are implying that 2019 budget cuts to the wildfire service, including the Rappel team, are preventing the province from responding to the level that it could be. Just wondering what your response is to that criticism.
Well, you know, that's a hard one. I know that we have seen cuts to the Rappel firefighters, and when it happened, we were very, very much opposed to it. And I still am very much opposed to it. I'm also opposed to the additional cuts to firefighting overall that we've seen, as well as the cuts to municipal support, because of course those are the folks that do most of our emergency coordination. However, as it relates to the current crisis, the focus needs to be on moving forward on protecting people's lives, protecting their property, protecting our communities, and coming together in the best way possible. And I do believe that every effort is going to be made to do that now.
And so when you were Premier, you did make cuts to the wildfire service as well in 2016, which are cuts you've defended. But we're just wondering kind of how that had impacted the province's ability to respond to the Fort McMurray fires.
Well, because the Fort McMurray fires happened literally not even a month after the budget was passed, we were able to ensure that all the resources that were necessary were dedicated to the fire, and we were able to as well call on folks from across the country and indeed out of the country to help us. And so there was never a concern about having adequate firefighting resources. Quite the opposite. At times, part of the challenges that we had was that we had too much in the air, and we had to coordinate to make sure that we kept the firefighters themselves safe in the process.
Rick Bell, Calgary Sun. These comments keep coming up, keep getting dug up or found or from Premier Smith. What would you, and she says they happened a couple of years ago, and she has made mistakes over the course of her career, et cetera, without really specifying what those mistakes are, but she does mention the word mistakes in there. In the ideal world, what would you like to hear her say with regards to all of the comments, including the ones discussed today, but all of the comments that have been made? How would you like her to address that?
Well, I think the problem, Rick, is that not every comment is the same. Some comments just demonstrate an incredible lack of information. Some comments demonstrate a plan which would be very hurtful to other people. Some comments demonstrate a set of values which no level of apology can ever make up for. So they're different. They're different. And it's not possible to inoculate herself by doing one grand apology for a whole range of statements that reveal bad judgment, hurtful intent, and deeply, deeply questionable values.
And second, the supplementary is, do you think, because I was talking to somebody this morning, do you think this will affect the election result? Back in 2012, as you know, a comment not from the leader of a party, but a candidate of a party was enough to really swing the pendulum. In this case, we've had comments like this surface in the past, and the comment today, of course, we don't know what effect that'll have. And seemingly, it doesn't swing the pendulum in the way that it did in 2012. So my question for you is, do you think these things will actually have an effect on the election outcome?
Well, I have to say, there's no question that people's tolerance for these indiscretions appears to have grown over the last few years with social media, with the narrative around politics that you see emanating from the U.S. and all that kind of stuff. But Rick, I don't know that I've ever seen a premier running for office 18 months after she told 75% of Albertans that they were like the followers of Adolf Hitler. That's new.
Tyson Fedora with CTV. Ms. Notley, just want to get your thoughts in regards back to the wildfires up in northern Alberta. We know that the Premier was speaking today, giving an update in regards to that. Was there anything that maybe crossed your mind to maybe not suspend your campaign at this point, but maybe continue being up there with some of the residents that are affected by these wildfires at this point?
Well, here's the thing. It's a difficult time. My heart and a great deal of my thoughts and planning and thinking goes towards the many Albertans. Still around 25 to 30,000 of them who've been displaced by this fire, and we understand that they're going through a very stressful time. And I do want them to know that their government, whether it's led by me or someone else, will have their back and will do everything we can to support them. But we are also in an election campaign, and Albertans have a very important choice before them. And they need to be given all the information that they can be in order to support a thoughtful choice in that election. So it's not easy, for sure. But I think, as long as we keep a very close eye on where things are at and ensure that the safety and the security of those 30,000 Albertans and the communities within which they live is not in any way compromised by the fact that we're in an election campaign, then I think we also need to continue our conversation with Albertans.
And just a separate topic in regards to gun and gang violence in the two major cities here in this province. This morning, the feds announced $53 million coming in regards to the anti-gang and gun violence program. Do you believe that's enough money for this province, or would you have liked to see more money on the table from the federal government? And how do we combat some of this crime that continues to plague, of course, communities even just around here?
Well, listen, I think I haven't had a chance to really dig into what options were on the table and what asks were made and the way in which those resources will be deployed. I think any resources that are focused on getting illegal guns out of the hands of criminals, particularly in our urban areas, is critically important. We know in this community that many members of this community are exhausted from the number of violent gun incidents that they have been subject to. They know people who have been victims. They are worried about their own security, and if we can successfully reduce access to illegal firearms on the part of criminals and gang members, then we need to do that, and we need to focus on it.
We're going to go now to questions on the phone, please. Yeah, we just got to take a couple questions on the phone. Excuse me, we're just going to take a couple questions from the phone, and then we'll get to you. Thank you very much. First one now, and for anyone else, a reminder to just unmute yourself when you're called upon. First question from Dean Bennett, the Canadian Press. Dean, please unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Rachel. Hope you can hear me.
Sure can.
I want to ask you about a second video we've obtained. We're just doing something on it now. So this is a video that was taken on Saturday from Smith's appearance at the Mickey Amory fundraiser. This was the fundraiser rally. It just came just before she announced officially as premier that we were going to have a state of emergency. But she actually, in this video, tips off her own supporters ahead of time that we're going to be entering a state of emergency. She actually says, quote, "I'm heading over there now to announce this, but there you go, guys. You're the first to hear about it. You got a little bit of inside information." So I've reached out to the Premier's office. They're not denying it. They're just saying that that they informed you as well ahead of time. I'm not quite sure what that means. But anyway, what do you think about the Premier giving her own team kind of a heads up on the state of emergency and saying that that you were advised?
Well, first of all, you know, as you know, there has been communication between my staff and her staff, and we were advised that there might be a declaration. We weren't actually told it was going to happen, but more importantly here, really, is this: there are, and there were yesterday or the day before, 30,000 Albertans displaced from their homes, and many more who were very, very concerned about their livestock and their farms and their livelihood. And honestly, those folks and the incredibly hard-working municipal emergency management workers and municipal staff who are doing so much of the heavy lifting in terms of fighting the fire, those are the folks that should have got that message first. Those are absolutely the folks that should have got that message first, not a room full of partisan supporters.
Thanks. So,
Dean,
but
do you
as a
follow-up?
follow-up, yeah, as cabinet minister, as premier, you guys take an oath, don't you? You're not supposed to divulge cabinet confidences before it officially becomes public. Is this is the premier breaking her oath here?
I honestly, Dean, I think what she's showing here is incredible insensitivity to the Albertans who are struggling with the consequences of you know, over 100 wildfires, and the fact that tens of thousands of them have been told to evacuate their homes and their communities. Once the cabinet makes a decision, you know, the premier can disclose that when and how she wants. So really, this is more about the judgment that she is demonstrating by choosing to share it with a bunch of campaign supporters before she shares it with those Albertans who are so deeply impacted by this crisis.
Rachel Emanuel, True North, Ms. Notley, how is the premier showing insensitivity when you're here in Calgary today hosting a campaign event and she's up in Edmonton dealing with the wildfires?
I believe that we are both continuing to work on the campaign. Indeed, we've seen both of us do that, and so that's what we are doing. But in the meantime, when it comes to making announcements that impact the victims of the wildfires, then that should be done in an apolitical way.
So is the criticism the premier is receiving for the campaign event she attended over the weekend or other campaign events she might choose to hold inappropriate? Is it right for her to continue campaigning, considering, as you said, we are in an election period?
My concern is only that she chose to announce the provincial state of emergency to her campaign workers before she announced it to the victims, the tens of thousands of victims of the wildfire.
And that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much. I understand we do have questions from
Thank you.
From seniors here in the room.